Hello everybody, welcome. I had actually just started shooting this video outside and a storm was rolling in, so I had to relocate and start over. It's just how it goes sometimes. I want to talk today about depression. And I struggled a little bit because depression is a very serious issue. It affects a lot of people and it can be very, very deep. And I asked myself, how on earth can I treat this topic and be of service to this in such a short video? I in no way want to make light of this. I want to offer you a few tips to help you break through depression, but I know from my own experience, and if you've been watching my content, you know I have talked about depression a lot, and I have shared some of my own experiences with it. And how debilitating it can be, how it can just absolutely knock you off your feet so much that all you want to do is you don't want to get out of bed in the morning, you don't want to go to work, you just want to off yourself, and you think that anything to get away from myself, anything, or to get away from yourself, anything to just get off this planet. So I'm going to offer you some things that I know it's not that simple. I know it's not that, oh, just follow a list of steps and then boom, I feel great and I'm happy now. I know it's not that way, and I know this from experience. I wrote a book called Healing Through Tapping, and I'm not here to give a plug about tapping necessarily, but tapping, also called emotional freedom technique, is a really good way to shift limiting beliefs to help you break through things like depression, anxiety, and many other things. And in the beginning of that book, I tell my own story about hitting a terrible, terrible depression a couple of years ago. So I get it. I know what it's like when you're on the floor and you're in tears and you just can't seem to break through. So here we go. Let me just jump in and start. One of the things I've noticed in myself is that, and maybe you can relate to this because that's why I'm sharing this, is that when you're depressed, of course, your self-talk is so negative. Your self-talk is punitive. You are tearing yourself apart. You may be thinking thoughts like, well, why should I even bother? It never works out for me. I tried that before and look where that got me. That's where it always gets me. Or, that's meant for some people, not me. I'll never be good enough, smart enough, pretty enough, wealthy enough, successful enough. Fuck this life, I hate this. Why is everything so hard? Why is it hard all the time? I should just quit. You think thoughts like that over and over and over. And you may also find yourself thinking thoughts like, well, I am, insert your age, and by that age, I should be at this point in my life and I'm not. I should be doing this. My life should look like this. I should be married. I should have kids. I should have a big ol' 401k. I should on and on and on. So when you're in the throes of depression, you are, they call it in psychology, the tyranny of the should. Shoulding on yourself. You are always comparing yourself and never measuring up, because that's what comparison does, because you're comparing yourself to something you're not. So what I would caution you is to not go there, because no good will ever come out of comparing yourself. It's a surefire way to feel like shit about yourself. And I know I've done this and I've caught myself saying, well, I'm this age, and then you look at maybe it's your siblings, maybe it's your peers, or your colleagues, or your friends. It's like going onto social media and you look at everyone's happy and beautiful and having great vacations and has all this great stuff happening, and then you're like, oh, if only they knew the truth of my life. If only they knew what was actually going on. Oh, shit. Because people aren't going out there and showing their pain. And what you are immersed in that moment, when you're in depression, is all the pain, all the negativity, all the hurt, the disappointment, grief, all the sadness, the regret. But that's not all that there is. It's just that when you're in depression, that's all you're focusing on. That's everything all of a sudden. And that anything good, anything happy, it doesn't exist. But it does. It's just where you're placing your focus at that time. What has helped me, and this is a tough one, is to realize you are having thoughts. You are not your thoughts. And I think about that sometimes, and it's like, man, in the moment, that's really hard to switch gears. When you are in the middle of shame and you feel like you are a bad person, not you did something bad, not you made a mistake, or not that you are not where you want to be in life, but when you are saying to yourself, I'm shit, I'm no good, why would anyone love me? Why would anyone like me? Well, if they really found out how I really feel, or if I showed who I really am, no one would stick around. They'd leave me. They'd abandon me. It's difficult in those thoughts that are extremely deep and powerful. The root of those thoughts, like the ones I just mentioned, that's rooted in abandonment, and that shit is painful. That's on the soul, deep soul level. It's difficult to say, well, I'm having thoughts about abandonment right now, but I am not my thoughts. You see what I mean? But that's the truth. And that's its own healing process. But when we start to notice ourselves spiraling down, if we're able to say, these are my thoughts and I don't need to attach to them. When I attach to them, I'm identifying with it, and then it controls me, and then it controls my mood, and then I have another bad thought, and another bad thought, and another bad thought, and then you just want to pig out and not care about anything else and treat yourself terribly and just trash your body, trash your mind, not answer any phone calls or text, and not leave the house because you feel so badly about yourself and you can't get away. What we have to do is to start training ourselves, maybe not in that moment of that despair, but when we are feeling ready to, is to start to just remember that phrase. And I heard that one time and it stopped me in my tracks. We are having thoughts. We are not our thoughts. And when you can start to learn that, it's a superpower. When we learn that, it's sort of like, I can stand outside. Hey, look at that. Look at that shitty, crappy thought there. Look at that. There's a happy thought. There's a sad thought. Feelings. And we have tons and tons of thoughts all day long. This is a practice. This is not easy stuff to do. So keeping that in mind is something I've been working on, and I challenge you to work on that also. The next thing is about our friend, or rather not friend, perfectionism. If you tend to get depressed easily or down on yourself, chances are you're a perfectionist. You have some seriously high fucking expectations for yourself. And you expect a lot. You expect stuff from yourself. You would never hold that bar to someone else. But for you, you do. You have to give more, do more, perform better, accomplish more, be more. For you, the bar is so high. And if you don't meet that all the time, you start to feel like you're falling short, you're inadequate. And maybe you're putting the pressure on yourself to work a full-time job and raise kids and to keep weight off and to never age and to look good and do it all perfectly and look great all the time. And how the hell do you manage all these damn, feelings that you have? That's a lot. It's a lot for anyone. So we got to take a step back and look at how we're treating ourselves, how we are expecting ourselves to do it all, do it perfectly, and look great while we're doing it. And say, screw all that. I am only one person, not 3, not 5. I am not perfect. I'm still lovable as I am. I'm doing the best I can. And that is good enough. When we're striving to be perfect, what we're trying to do is be so perfect that no one can ever hold us in judgment, that no one can ever criticize us. The thought process is something like, if I'm perfect, then no one can ever find fault. No one can ever criticize me. Because deep down, you don't feel like you can handle that criticism because it would make you crumble. It would hurt you. It would make you unravel. So perfectionism becomes this coping mechanism for that feeling, instead of actually facing that underlying feeling of being sensitive, being hurt, feeling like you're not enough. Because you are enough. And if you were perfect, someone would still have something negative to say. That's where we strengthen ourselves and we learn that we don't have to people please, that we don't need other people's approval. That it's nice to get that, sure, but we got to give it to ourselves first. Otherwise, we will always be needy. We will always be on the hook for getting that from someone. But if we're perfect, then we're okay. Nope, that's not how it works. And all of this, what we have to do, and all these topics or these steps I talked about, we have to stop punishing ourselves. Stop beating ourselves up, treating ourselves in a way we would never, ever treat someone else. We have to be, I talk a lot about reparenting. We have to reparent ourselves and say, wherever you learned this behavior from, this getting down on yourself, we have to say, it stops here, it stops right now with me. I'm not going to treat myself that way. To be self-loving, that's another topic I talk a lot about on this channel. To be self-loving doesn't mean I don't talk to myself that way. If you love yourself, why would you talk to yourself that way? And I know that self-love and self-esteem, confidence, it's not like, oh yeah, flying high all the time. No. It kind of goes up and down, but as you work on it over time, you will go up and up and up, and the drops won't be as deep or as frequent. You'll get better at it. It's something you practice. So when we love ourselves, it means we don't beat ourselves up. We're not our own punching bag, telling yourself all this bad stuff and how bad you are, how unlovable you are. That's the stuff that we got to start turning around and replacing it with compassion and kindness. Just like you would be kind and compassionate to your best friend, to your partner and lover, to your dog or your cat, to your children. You deserve the same treatment. So I challenge you to try to go to that place of a little bit more compassion for yourself. Because when we're trying to dig ourselves out of depression, it just sucks you down until you are nothing. And the more entrenched you get into it, the harder it is to get out. It's this black hole. So I hope that my words are some consolation to you. I hope that they help remind you that you are more powerful than you have been allowing yourself to believe, and that you are more capable of resisting those negative thoughts and resisting those dark entities out there that want you to feel like shit. They want you to feel bad. They want you to be down and not shine your light. You have light within you, and you know when you are in that space and it's just radiating out of you and you feel good, and you know how people respond to you when you are, that aligned. And you know that now, if you're depressed, you know how you don't know how to, you're not sure how to get back to that place, how to access that. So I'm saying this to help you remember that you have that within you. Turn it around. You can do that. You can turn this around. You can be more loving to yourself. You can change those thoughts in the relationship with yourself. You don't have to prove anything. You don't have to be someone else. You don't have to do anything differently on the outside. You just have to turn the switch and not give in to that the darkness. Thank you for watching. I sincerely hope that this helps. And this, like I said, I know how serious this is. I'm speaking from experience. So keep being strong, be brave, and be the courageous soul that you are. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you soon.